Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into some brand new research that honestly is a must-know for anyone thinking about egg donation. We're talking about cannabis and what science is finally telling us about how it might affect your priceless gift. So let's get right into it. We're going to start with a question that comes up a lot, and for good reason, especially with how the world is changing its views on cannabis. You know, this is such a common and totally fair question. And honestly, for the longest time, the answer was, well, kind of murky. The science just hadn't caught up to give a straight answer. But that's all changing. Okay, so what's the new answer? Well, for the very first time, we have a major scientific study that gives us a direct and frankly pretty compelling answer. We're moving out of the realm of maybe and into some clear connection. So yeah, this is a big deal. We're not talking about speculation anymore or some vague warning. This is a groundbreaking study with direct, powerful evidence. It shows that THC, the main psychoactive part of cannabis, can actually impact human eggs at a really fundamental level. And look, this isn't just some random study. It was published in Nature Communications, which is a huge deal in the science world. It's one of the top journals out there. The researchers basically used a two-pronged attack. They did an in vitro investigation, that means they looked at the cells directly in the lab, and they also did a case control study where they compared results from different groups of people. So when you combine those two methods, the findings carry some serious weight. Okay, so the big question is, how? How exactly does this all happen inside the body? Let's take a look under the hood, so to speak, and see what's going on. All right, so to get this, we first need to talk about where an egg actually grows. It matures in this stuff called follicular fluid. You can think of it like its own little private sanctuary, this super nutrient-rich bubble where it develops. And here's the kicker. Researchers found that THC gets right inside. It crosses directly into that fluid. This is the key right here. It means the cannabis exposure isn't just floating around in your bloodstream somewhere. No, it's getting direct access to the egg. It's right there, in its personal space, you could say, during its most critical, most sensitive phase of development. And what they found were three major impacts. First, it messed with the genes. Think of it as changing some of the instructions in the egg's blueprint. Second, it caused more errors when the chromosomes tried to divide correctly, which is an absolutely crucial step. And third, when you add those two things up, it led to a lower chance of that egg developing into a healthy embryo. So all that lab stuff is fascinating, but what does it mean in the real world? Let's look at the data, because this is where we see why screening is just so essential. Okay, check out these numbers from actual IVF patients. For patients who tested negative for THC, about 67% of their embryos were chromosomally normal. But for patients who tested positive, that number dropped to 60%, a noticeable difference. Now, I know what you might be thinking. 7%? What's the big deal? But in the world of fertility, that is a huge deal. Having a chromosomally normal embryo, what scientists call a euploid embryo, is step number one. It's the non-negotiable foundation for a healthy pregnancy. So that drop, it directly impacts the chances of success for the intended parents. But hang on, because the next number from this study, honestly, it was the most shocking one to me. And it's not just about biology. It's about us, people. 73%. Let that sink in for a second. That means almost 3/4 of the patients who tested positive for THC didn't disclose it on their forms. And this right here is exactly why just asking on a form isn't enough. It's why having an objective, scientific screening process is so critical to make sure everyone involved is protected. Okay, so this is a lot of new info, and it naturally brings up a bunch of questions. So let's do a quick FAQ and tackle some of the most common ones we hear. Yeah, this is a big one, right? I only used it once a while ago. It's easy to think that if it wasn't recent, you're in the clear. But the way these tests work is a little more complicated than that. So, could it still show up? The short answer is yes, it definitely might. See, the screenings aren't just looking for the THC that makes you feel the effects. They're designed to find what's left over, these things called metabolites, and those little guys can stick around in your system for days, sometimes even weeks, long after you've stopped feeling anything. Another great question is why now? Cannabis isn't new. Why the sudden focus and urgency on this research? Well, it really comes down to two big things. First, yeah, it's just more common now. But the second, and this is a really big one, is potency. The cannabis people are using today is just way, way stronger than it used to be. We're talking about a jump from maybe 3% THC back in the day to stuff that's 15, 20, even 30% THC now. That's a whole different ballgame, and it creates a whole new set of questions for reproductive science.
Okay, what about CBD? That's the one that doesn't get you high, so it should be safe, right? Well, there's a catch.
So this study was all about THC. But the problem with CBD is that the whole industry is kind of like the Wild West. It's super unregulated. That means you could buy a product that says CBD only on the label, but it could still have THC in it that they just didn't list. So really, to be absolutely safe and protect your donation, the best advice is to just steer clear of all cannabis products for now. So after all of that, what's the big takeaway? Look, deciding to be an egg donor is one of the most incredible, generous things a person can do. It's truly a legacy of hope. The whole point of this new science isn't to be a downer or to judge anyone. It's about giving you the information you need to protect that amazing gift and make sure it has the absolute best chance of success. I want to leave you with this final thought. It's so easy to look at drug screening as just another annoying hurdle, right? Another test to pass. But what if we reframe that? It's not a barrier. It's a safeguard. It's a way to honor the incredible gift you're giving, to protect the health of your eggs, and to help give a future family the very best start possible.